Hello, my name is Kiwi Escada, and welcome to my guide on optimizing Sol Heredit, in particular, the 5-tick Scythe method. If the only reason that you're here is to watch a full clip of a perfect 0 damage, 0 tick loss Sol, feel free to skip to the timestamp listed on screen. Before we begin, I'd just like to clarify that this is not a guide for beginners or people who haven't killed Sol Heredit before. The intent of this is for people who want to further optimize, maybe going for speedruns, maybe going for high glory. If you're a complete beginner to the boss, Mulgut Kirby has a fantastic guide on his channel, and it's going to be linked in the description below, so go check it out. The main mechanic we're going to be exploring is the timing of Sol's auto attacks. The way Sol works is very similar to Akka from Tombs of Amascut. In order to attack you, he needs to be next to you for a full tick, as opposed to most monsters which need to be moving and one tile away from you, which would allow them to move and attack in the same tick. So we can use this to delay his next auto attack, which can be pretty useful if our Scythe would otherwise be delayed by dodging. So, without further ado, let me show you a clip of Drag Tech. In this clip, you can see Sol's attacks. Each spear comes out with the same delay as every other one, and each shield comes out with its own delay. However, when I sprint away from the boss here, his next attack comes out significantly delayed because he needs to be in melee range in order to attack. I'll play that again so you can see it closely if you missed it. So here's the general idea of what we have to do. Each of Sol's attacks has a different delay until his next attack. If that delay won't delay our next Scythe, just don't worry about it. If it will, however, we need to reposition the boss. So there's 5 types of attacks Sol can do: a spear attack, a shield attack, a phase transition where he drops yellow puddles, the gear grass mechanic, also called perfect parry, and the triple melee attack that must be prayer flicked. Each of these attacks has its own delay and has to be dealt with separately. His spear attack has 2 separate delays, one at the start of the fight, and one when he falls below 75% HP and drops that set of puddles. The first of these 2 is 7 ticks of delay, and the latter is 6. The shield works very similarly to the spear, but it does have one difference. And that difference is that in all cases, it is 1 tick faster. So, it's 6 ticks during the first 2 phases, 5 ticks for the rest of the fight. The rest of his attacks have their own delays as well, but for now, let's not worry about it. The method works very well without having to memorize these, and it can be a lot to keep in your head at a time, so we're going to be focusing primarily on the spear attacks and the shield attacks. So, with that said, let's get into a few clips of what we can do to dodge these attacks tick perfectly, while still 5-ticking our Scythe. The clip on screen now demonstrates how to deal with spear attacks when he's above 75% HP. Watch the Scythe swing very carefully. Since his spear attack is 7 ticks at this point, we know we're on a bad Scythe tick if we attack 1 tick after stepping in. This isn't too hard to tell in the moment. Watch your true tile. Assuming you're dodging tick perfectly, watch your Scythe to see if you attack the tick after the true tile moves up to the boss, instead of simultaneously. If that happens, as in this clip, you must drag the boss if you want to avoid losing ticks. The number of ticks you move him doesn't matter as long as it's at least 2. Use this time to plan out your next dodge and be very, very careful of going up against the wall. Make sure you have enough room to dodge his next attacks, perhaps you might need to reposition to do so, and then just click the boss and Scythe again. Congratulations, you've 5-ticked your Scythe. This next clip shows what I'd like to refer to as the 6-tick cycle, and you're going to want to become very familiar with it. Above 75% HP, Sol's shield attacks are 6 ticks apart, and below 75% HP, Sol's spear attacks are 6 ticks apart. This being 1 tick different than the Scythe's cooldown is very important. This might be familiar to you if you've done a lot of Tob, as it's similar to Phase 2 Verzik and Melee Zarpus. Watch closely. Every time he uses the shield attack, our next Scythe swing gets closer and closer to the step-in tick. When we're dealing with 6-tick attacks, we know we need to drag him when we attack simultaneously with the step-in tick, as otherwise our Scythe would be delayed. When you're familiar with the 6-tick cycle, you'll be able to see this coming a mile away, since you get 1 tick closer to the step-in tick every attack. You'll notice at the end of the clip, when we actually end up attacking on the step-in tick, the boss doesn't drag when we try to, due to the phase transition. Don't worry about this in the moment, just make sure to attack the boss on tick so that your Scythe is still 5-ticked. However, had he not phase transitioned, this example would have been the correct timing to drag. This next clip is an example of how to deal with him below 75% HP. At this point, his spear attack is in the 6-tick cycle, but the shield attack is 5-tick. The correct way to think about shield attacks here is that they do nothing. If your next Scythe isn't delayed and he does a shield attack, the Scythe after will also not be delayed. Shield attacks are just time wasters and we love to see them, since we don't need to think about dragging the boss at all. What you should be paying attention to in this clip is the fact that we're attacking on the step-in tick. However, he uses a shield attack, so we don't need to drag him here. We're just patiently waiting for a spear attack, and as soon as he does that, we're prepared to drag him since we know that we're on that step-in tick that would otherwise delay our Scythe. And that's all you need to know about spears and shields. What remains, then, are his special attacks and phase transitions. How I think about these is, ironically, by not really thinking about them. These are the mechanics that require a little more brainpower, and it can be hard to keep track of your Scythe swings and the boss's attack delay while doing the mechanic. Instead, the idea is that on every single special attack, the Gear Grasp, the Triple Stab, and the phase transition, we will always drag the boss afterward, attacking when our Scythe comes back off cooldown. This clip is an example of exactly that for the Gear Grasp mechanic. This final clip showcases both the melee triple attack as well as the phase transition attack. The way I deal with the triple attack in this clip is actually incorrect. You'll see that after the third attack hits, I try to drag the boss, however he locks into his next attack super early, so the step away was too late. To fix this, you just have to step away earlier. This might be hard while prayer flicking, and I think this is a sub 50% specific mechanic due to the delayed final hit of the triple stab. A decent answer here, honestly, is to just not worry about it. The case is super rare that would delay your Scythe. Most of the time it won't lose you a tick, as you can see in this clip. The rest of the advice in this guide should be sufficient to 90% of the time let you have a perfect 5-tick Scythe run of the boss. So then, the other thing in this clip is the phase transition. I don't have a whole lot to say about it that I haven't said already. This is the correct way to deal with it. You attack, you drag, and then you attack again on cooldown. And with that, that's all I have to say in terms of explanation. Next, I'm going to play a full, uninterrupted, uncommentated video of a 0 damage, 0 tick loss Sol fight. I hope you find it useful, and you should recognize many of the clips played throughout this guide in it. And that's it. Thank you for watching this guide on optimizing Sol Heredit. If you're still here, consider leaving a like on the video if it was useful to you. And if I've missed anything, leave a comment. I'll try to respond. Hopefully this was helpful for any of your speedruns or high glory attempts. Best of luck in the future, and I'll see you in the next one.